Om. 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 Dear listeners, Namaste to all of you. Today we will take up the topic fate and free will. We have many times occasions in our life to discuss about these two topics and get highly confused as to whether fate is powerful or free will is powerful. Is everything in our life, every happening in our life, is it predetermined or do we have a choice of free will? Before we enter into this subject, let us gloss over about broad profile of action. Bhagavad Gita declares, Nahi kaschit kshanamapi. None of us can ever remain without doing any action even for a moment. Not only that, karyate vasha karma sarva prakriti jair gunaihi. Everyone is made to act helplessly by the gunas or the qualities born of prakritis. Action is the very insignia of life. Life throbs through all actions. Life is but the series of continuous activities. Action is the cornerstone of life. Actions flow out of every living being. Action not only includes at the physical level but also at the mental level. A man may be physically appear to be doing nothing, but mentally he may be very busy and highly involved. There are three types of actions as per our scriptures. One is niyata karma, one's own obligatory duties. Second is naimittika karma, actions done only during special occasions. And third is the kamya karma, actions done to fulfill our desires. We will deliberate on kamya karma in this session. Now let us find out how does the desire crops up in us. It is the vasanas which order or set up a particular type of desire in the intellect, which in turn generates corresponding thoughts in the mind, and body engages in action as per the thoughts within. So action is the external manifestation of the thoughts in the subtle mind. Therefore we find vasana is the motherboard from which the desires emerge, which in turn get transformed into action. Therefore, chronologically, vasana, desire, that is kama, action, that is karma. Desires could be again selfless or desire could be selfish. Action done with selfish desires add more vasanas, while actions done with selfless desires reduce vasanas. With this background, let us proceed further into the chosen topic of fate and free will. As we all know, every action produces a result. Result could be seen at the physical level and unseen at the mental level. Seen result in the physical plane is much easy to understand, while the unseen result at the mental level is not very easy to follow. Action done in line with dharma earns punya or the merit. Actions performed in adharmic way produces sin or papa. Punya or papa, the merit or the sin, is to be exhausted by the individual only as he gathers these during the course of his series of actions in his life. Total results of such cumulative actions are called Sanchita Karma. Each of this will take its own time to fructify or ripen. Those which are ripe and ready to yield the results in one's birth, they are called Prarabdha Karmas, which form as a kind of blueprint for one's action. There is no choice but to enjoy or suffer the effects of Prarabdha Karma. Prarabdha Karma is also called destiny, fate, or providence, or even the term Adrishta, that which we cannot see, but that which is latent within our bosom, that which is in the potential form, which gets converted into the dynamic form through actions. So this is the Prarabdha or the destiny as we usually call in our life. This scheme of the Sanchita Karma or Prarabdha Karma, does it have predetermined effects? Fate, as opposed to mistaken notion that fate is something which falls from somewhere on the individual, but it is not so. It is actually the results of his own actions done in the past. In fact, we bring in unnecessarily God's hand in this. God has nothing to do with this. It is purely our karma phala of the past actions. That is fate, or that is the destiny. Nevertheless, we must note what we face now is destiny or the fate, but we have a choice how we face it. So what we face is destiny, how we face is purushartha or the self-effort. This choice is called purushartha or free will. Will is a mental faculty that facilitates an individual to decide and initiate action. That is, power of determining one's own action independent of the nature of promptings of vasanas. While we cannot modify the past, but we certainly have, in fact all of us have, freedom to apply self-effort in the present so as to carve out a better future for ourselves. Some people think in the fatalistic way, that is, all the events in our life, they are all predetermined and struggle and strife is of no use. But if this is false, this is a false notion. If this were true, there was no purpose served by acquisition of knowledge, experience, training, etc. It is this which can influence a lot in our life and then channelize our self-effort in such a way that we can progress in spite of our bad past. We have the chance to evolve or devolve depending on how this self-effort in this present life is channelized. Now the Karma Siddhanta clearly explains that success or otherwise of the present action depends not only on the effects of the past actions, that is prarabdha, but also on self-effort, that is purushartha, exercised now. Self-effort exerted now has got power to modify or even nullify the effects of the prarabdha. Great emphasis is laid in our scriptures and many stories of how the purushartha is available for every individual. Therefore, instead of simply reconciling and resigning only to the prarabdha, every person is goaded, is advised to make use of the blessed faculty of purushartha in shaping his life. Prarabdha could be taken as a constant that is not changeable. Self-effort can be taken as a variable factor in any endeavor. Therefore, in any endeavor, two elements are involved. One is the constant which is not subject to change, which is already predetermined. Second is the variable, Purushartha in the present. Therefore, success or failure depends on the resultant of these two factors. That is, one is constant, second is the variable, Prarabdha and the Purushartha. It can be understood by 4 examples. Let us take the example, first example. Let us imagine a person is swimming in a still water, maybe in a swimming pool, say at the speed of 4 miles an hour. This is taken as Purushartha. Now this swimmer goes to a river to swim, and the river is, the flow of water in the river is, let us say, speed of the flowing water is around 2 miles an hour. So the speed of the swimmer is 4 miles an hour, and the speed of the flowing water is 2 miles an hour. Now the swimmer has got a choice, either to swim along the flow of the water or to swim against the current or the flow of water. Now let us say he swims along the flow of water. His individual speed is 4 miles per hour and the speed of the flowing water is 2 miles an hour. Therefore, the individual travels at 4 plus 2, that is 6 miles an hour. On the other hand, if he swims against the flow of water, the resultant speed at which he swims will be 4 minus 2, that is 2 miles an hour. Here, the speed of the water could be taken as Prarabdha or the destiny, and speed of the swimmer could be taken as Purushartha or the free will or the self-effort. We can infer from this example that in spite of best efforts, results turned out could be failure because of power of Prarabdha or the destiny, which could not be nullified by Purushartha. That means the speed at which the person is swimming is far lesser than the speed of the flowing water. Therefore, the swimmer cannot swim upstream because of the lesser speed. Now, if his attempt to swim upstream is therefore a failure. On the other hand, if the swimmer's speed is higher than the speed of water, he can swim upstream. We have seen by this example. That means if the situations are favorable to the attempt is what he is making in the endeavor, then you can call he is successful. If the situations are unfavorable to him by the power of Prarabdha, then the self-effort is not going to add much to the issue, and then it may be a failure. Second example, travelers in a tourist special train. In the tour package, there will be a definite itinerary which describes the number of places to visit, date and time of travel, time for sightseeing, time for rest, time for boarding and lodging, details of food, etc. Now, all these are common to all the tourists who are traveling, and they are all in a way tour bound. But the interesting dimension is their experiences are ordered and controlled by the blueprint of the tour package. However, all the tourists may not have the same experience to narrate after the tour is completed, because each tourist has a freedom during the trip, and the way the tourist makes use of it varies. For example, during journey in the train, some may play cards, some may read books, some in serious gossip, or some may even fall asleep. Like that, it may be varied methods to kill time or engage themselves during the journey. Or some may be intelligently and thoughtfully spend their time both during journey and places of visit and return refreshed or rejuvenated after the tour. Thus, it depends how one uses the freedom available, though they are all tour bound with the common program. Similarly, every individual in his lifespan can be compared to a journey with different stages of youth, middle age, old age, etc. And still he can make use of the freedom available in such a way that it will be to his advantage. Because of this unique mind and intellect equipment man is blessed with, but we must know how to use this given freedom or faculty. The third example, in a village, buffaloes or cows are kept in the backyard of the house and they are normally tied with a rope to a pole. The animals have freedom to move around within the radius of the rope, though tied to the pole. That is, this drives home the point that though we are bound by prarabdha, we still have a freedom in a limited way. The other example is arms in our body. Are they free? The answer is yes and no. The arms are bound to the body, but yet they are free to rotate, move backwards, move forwards, etc. Also, it is interesting to note that the question of asking whether fate or free will, which one is stronger or which one is more powerful or which one is the determining factor. In fact, there are no two separate entities as fate and free will, but there is only one. Why? Because results of action exercised in the past is prarabdha and those being exercised at the present moment is purushartha. Distinction is made only with respect to time, but in both, actions are the common factor. Friends, with all this explanation, it again looks a riddle as happens in any of these spiritual topics. But the more and more we dive deep and understand the significance, the more we feel that yes, we have understood what life is. We also understand what is the importance of self-effort. Therefore, let us not be fatalistic and resigning ourselves to the prarabdha, but let us vigorously work out our plan to modify the past and live a better future. Hari Om.